Bias, rhetorical devices, and argumentation. In this video, I will talk about how to write a good argument. Now, when you write a good argument, you want to avoid bias and you want to also avoid fallacies. There are both good and bad arguments. Bad arguments consist of biases and fallacies. Good arguments include rhetorical devices and logic. Arguing your points and supporting your claims with evidence makes your paper strong and ultimately persuades your reader to accept your viewpoint. So it is important to learn the correct techniques of argumentation. What exactly is bias? Bias means holding opinions about a person or group that are stereotypical, prejudiced, or judgmental. Types of bias include political bias, gender bias, racial or ethnic bias, religious bias, and age bias. Academic writing requires you to be unbiased so your reader does not feel offended or excluded, and also you emerge as a fair and accurate researcher and writer. Writers must use caution to avoid bias in their own writing and also to avoid using research that is biased or one-sided. And so the following examples are common types of bias. Political bias. Republicans are the reason gay marriage laws will not pass. Gender bias. Men take all the good jobs and always make more money than women do. Racial or ethnic bias. Our country has so many economic problems because of all the illegal immigrants from Mexico. Religious bias. Muslims believe in killing others for eternal reward. Age bias. Senior citizens do not know how to drive properly and should not have driver's licenses. And so when you argue or make a good argumentation, you must avoid all these kinds of biases. For a bias shows an opinion, it's basically an opinion with no evidence, no substantiated evidence. It's an opinion that reflects a stereotype, it's an opinion that reflects ignorance and no research. And also, when you have an argument that has bias, it also means that your argument is too one-sided. In other words, all you talk about is how great Ronald Reagan was, or how great a certain politician was, without having counter-arguments in order to make your argumentation fair and balanced. And so you want to avoid, to avoid both bias and fallacies, which I will discuss in a second, you want to have a paragraph or paragraphs that addresses the other side's point of view. And when you talk about the other side's point of view besides your own, that's known as a counter-argument. So you want to avoid being too one-sided in your argument, that's bias. You want to avoid using these different kinds of bias, such as political, gender, racial, or ethnic, religious bias. And you just want to have your paper should be balanced, fair, and objective. And so using emotions the wrong way can create what is known as a fallacy. Fallacies occur when you use an illogical argument. The following are common fallacies found in writing. And when you make your argument, you need to avoid these fallacies, because these fallacies make your argument invalid and inconsistent. So avoid using scapegoating fallacy, blaming a group, or a person for a problem. Racial quotas are the reasons why I cannot find a better job. Avoid using scare tactic fallacies, using fear to try to scare readers. If you sit too close to the television, you will go blind. Apple polishing fallacy, appealing to someone's vanity to persuade him or her you are too smart to be a Democrat. Ad hominem fallacy, attacking a person rather than attacking an argument. The president is stupid for proposing a tax cut at this time. The straw man fallacy, creating a position that is easy to refute and then attributing that position to someone else. Person's one's argument. I do not think children should have a rigorous academic schedule all day. Person 2, misuse of person 1's argument. You cannot allow children to play all day and not study. False dilemma. Presenting two choices as the only choices available when there are other options that have not been revealed. You are either for us or against us. Slippery slope. Suggesting an action will cause a chain of bad events. Once everyone owns a gun, no one will be safe. Circular, begging the question. Circular reasoning in which a claim is given that suggests a conclusion. You are showing no remorse for the crime, therefore you must be guilty. So